For more than a decade, FTI has strived to become the leader in the aftermarket performance transmission and converter industry. We've joined forces with McLeod Driveline Components under the leadership of Top Fuel Funny Car pilot Paul Lee, and now have a larger distribution network, more resources, and more power. Come see us in the pits and ask how you can join the FTI family. It's not cheating, it is the competitive edge.
It's time for an inside look at the most powerful motorsport on the planet. WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro. This is WFO Radio.
Everybody, WFO Radio is back. It is finals week in the National Hot Rod Association. That's right, the In-N-Out Burger Finals. The first one at In-N-Out Pomona Drag Strip since the new title sponsorship of the race and the track, and it is super exciting. And I don't know, it's like my favorite time of year and also kind of a bummer because it is over. After this is it. It's over, the final one. We've got 3 drivers in Top Fuel that are likely candidates to become the champion. In Funny Car, we got 3 drivers with a mathematical chance to win the championship. It's going to be amazing. Pro Stock Motorcycle, a coronation. Pro Stock, highly likely that Erica will win her 6th championship. It is going to be amazing. On this show, we're going to tell you about a lot of different things. We're scheduled to be joined by Del Worsham. He's going to give it a try. We sent him the link. We're going to see if Del is like, busier than a one-armed wallpaper hanger, is a cliche that I've heard in the past, as he gets ready to race this weekend. How great is that? We're going to have Del. He is going to be back. Alan Reinhart going to be joining us. He's already in the ready room. Super excited to speak with AR about what happened in Vegas this past weekend. More champions were crowned. John LaBouse, Bruno Massel becomes a 4-time champ. All that is going down. It is going to be great. But most importantly, and this is, I'm going to give the top of the show to the what I think is maybe the greatest single promotion ever in the history of history. That's right. Free In-N-Out Burger. Free In-N-Out Burger. To military and veterans with a military or veterans ID, Friday at In-N-Out Burger Drag Strip at Pomona. Think about it. Free. How many people go into a 7-Eleven each year for the free Slurpee on 7-Eleven? Like a lot of people. Like it's the 1 or 2 or 3 times. I'm loyal to 7-Eleven because they give me a free Slurpee once a year. I'll go in there. Yeah. I'll go get my free Slurpee. I'm out. Of course, I buy stuff. But if you've never been exposed to drag racing, you don't know what it is. But you're going to get some free In-N-Out in there, man. Yeah, I'll go check out the drag racing. What is that? I get a free In-N-Out? Yeah. And that's pretty much where we're at. It was just announced today. I see it on NHRA.com. You don't believe me? That's fine. Go to the website. Check it out. But kudos to In-N-Out Burger for doing that. I think it is a great cause. Obviously, our armed forces, both active and veteran, they are doing something that most don't do, won't do, can't do, and they deserve definitely some free In-N-Out Burger at the drag races, right? Like they deserve a lot more than that. But some In-N-Out Burger at the drag races on Veterans Day, I think, is tremendous. So super excited about that. Before we get to Alan, I just want to shout out to the people make it possible. You already heard about FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters. I'm super excited. I'll be bringing one of my Power Glides up there real soon as we get the Project Pontiac rolling. Project Pontiac. It's got to have a transmission, right? Like you get at this, we're getting closer and closer. NHRA Super Street, Gainesville Raceway, the Gator Nationals 2025. When Super Street is back, it seems like a long way away, but it's not really. And we need a transmission. Of course, FTI Performance is going to be what we go with. Also, Total Seal Piston Rings. Got 2 great episodes of Hidden Horsepower up there. We're getting ready for PRI. Everyone's going to go to the PRI trade show this year. I will be in the Total Seal booth and making my way around the show. We'll be recording episodes of Hidden Horsepower. But Gary Stinnett, to tie it all together, right? Gary Stinnett from Foggett talking engine building for throttle stop engines, $890, $990, $1090. So go check out that. Bernie's Speed Shop. 100,000 square feet down there in Ocala, Florida. We're going to be ramping up a couple of things with Bernie's as the winter break moves on. Josh Hart and his team to whole shot victories. Josh Hart takes out Leah, takes out Doug. This incredible three-way championship, the three-headed monster. By the way, Mike Salinas and Justin Ashley are still technically in it with 1.5 points. So let's not go without mentioning those guys. But Josh Hart really got after it. Bernies.com. Go check out their inventory. Phillips Connect, all supporters of WFO Radio. And we'll tell you about everybody else after we talk to the voice of NHRA, Alan Reinhart. What's up, Alan? How are you?
Hey, I'm great. You said you were going to start off with the greatest promotion ever. I thought you were talking about Amanda Busick's birthday.
No, I wasn't going to mention that. I love Amanda, but I wasn't going to put that at the top of the show. You think that's the greatest single day promotion in the history of history?
Well, maybe not, but that's happening today, and
Yeah.
everything isn't until Friday. So, I'm just saying.
Look, I know Amanda loves the military as much as everybody else, and so I will wish Amanda happy birthday out there. I'm really kind of just jealous, though, really, because my birthday doesn't happen during the racing season, so nobody really ever acknowledges it. But whatever. Once you're 50, it doesn't matter anyway, right?
Oh, I don't know about that. I think, you're only young once, but you can be immature forever. So.
There it is. Okay. So Alan, usually you and I will come on and we'll banter a bit, but Dell is connected. And so let's bring on Dell. We'll talk to Dell. We'll find out what's up with Dell. And then we'll go into our normal preview. Maybe Dell will get in on the preview because he's been here before fighting for championships. But let me kick out Reinhardt and let me bring on Dell and then bring back Reinhardt. So then Dell will be in the middle. What's up, Dell? How are you?
Hi there. Doing well. Thank you.
It worked. Dell and I were going to test, and I said, no, I got confidence it's going to work. Dell, what brings you back to the driver's seat? Why do this?
Without reading really much into this, about 2 weeks ago, I woke up. I was home finally. I got home from our house in Indiana. We're in California, and I saw the advertisements come up, either whether it was on social media or on TV, for the World Finals coming up. And I started thinking back to 1990 when it was my first time. My first event I ever entered. And I just kind of got the bug, like I was kind of sad that I wasn't driving. So I just kind of rolled over and looked at Connie and said, hey, I think I'm going to enter for the finals. She's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I kind of feel like racing. I've never said I've retired or I was done racing. I just kind of wanted to race the finals. So after making a few phone calls and putting a team together, I was able to pull it off.
That is so exciting. Alan, questions for Dell.
How difficult was it finding a team to work on the car? Because I know, obviously Alexis's car is still going to be your top focus. How difficult was it to find guys that could come in and make this happen for you?
Well, I started just running down the list of people, of teams I knew and who were West Coast based. And I started looking at the entry list. I went on NHRA.com and I'm looking at competitors. So I started texting other competitors, find out, hey, are you guys racing, this weekend? And I ran and the name Brandon Welch came by. I knew Chuck Beal real well. I grew up watching Chuck Beal race alcohol funny cars with my dad and his partner. So I kind of texted Brandon and said, hey, Brandon, are you guys running? He's like, no, we don't have the funding together yet, but we're hoping to be back by the Winter Nationals and race there. And I kind of let it go at that. And then I waited a little while longer and I texted him again. I said, hey, can you give me a call or can I call you? And he's like, sure. And I just asked him if they'd be interested in coming out and crewing on the car and using their support equipment and their truck and trailer, which fortunately, unbelievably, is the truck and trailer I used 25 years ago. We sold it to Chuck Beal about probably 10 or 15 years ago, and they've been using it ever since. So it's one of my old trucks and trailers. They're a great group of guys. They're kind of a gang. They kind of all come together, and they've worked together before. So to be able to find the entire team to come work on the car with the truck and trailer I raced out of before and a car that I tested on Monday, it just seemed like something we could do.
Amazing. And you have been in the finals with championships on the line. And I love the fact that you were inspired by the commercial, right? Like, you're out here in our drag racing bubble, experiencing it on a weekly or, bi-weekly basis inside, but whatever they put on the air got your juices flowing. I think that's a great story in and of itself.
No, it did. And we have great weather here in Southern California right now. Our weather is just perfect. And, then after, then again, after I got the whole team put together, then we needed funding, and I was able to go to my friends at CP Grill and RevCam, and these guys all jumped on board without any hesitation at all and said, hey, let's do this. Sounds like a great little project and a fundraiser. So with that behind, it did. It excited me. And, I think back to the race, that Doug Kalitta is going to be into this weekend, and all the top fuel guys and the funny car guys, what they're into, and it's pretty much the situation I got into. The two championships I won in 2011 and 2015 came down to basically, I know it was 100% win or lose, but it was basically if you win, you're the champion, if you lose, you're not kind of situation in the semifinals, and I got a feeling that's going to run down to similar situations for both those categories.
It certainly could. But then, last year we thought it was going to come down to the semifinals and top fuel first round. Everybody fell out and it was over. So you just really never know until you fire one of those things up.
I know. I believe last year was just an anomaly. I can't believe that could happen twice.
It was pretty crazy. I was there on Monday. I'm curious, how long had it been since you'd been in a car, and how many runs did it take before you felt like, okay, I'm back at this? Because I know, they say it's like riding a bike, but you don't get on a bike first time after 10 years and start riding wheelies. It takes a day or two. No,
absolutely. So I still drive every year a little bit somewhere doing something, whether it's like when I went to Qatar together or 2021, I did the Funny Car Chaos, and then I tested Alexis's car earlier this year in Gainesville. I had the actual car that I drove there on Monday, which is one of our backup cars. I ran it on Monday during the Gainesville, or not on Monday, I ran it during the Gainesville test session, a few runs when she had to go off and do some personal business. I raced top fuel this year at Cordova, Illinois in the match race with Larry Dixon. So I still drive here and there, but not really competitively like NHRA competitive style. It's kind of a run here, exhibition here. If I don't go to the finish line or nothing's really on the line like it's going to be this weekend. So it's been 5 years. It was St. Louis 2018 was my last race. And the first round, I think I raced Tim Wilkerson, and I think we ran identical ETs and I freaking lost, So I wasn't real excited about that being my last run ever in NHRA. I was losing on a whole shot or right at one. So I don't know. It should be fun. I mean, heck, it may happen this weekend that way. Who knows? The first thing I got to do is qualify. There's 19 tough competitors that are trying to make 16-car field, so it's not like you show up and qualify. This car's going to have to perform, but I'm going to have to do a good job driving. And I wasn't totally 100% like in race mode on Monday when we left there. We ran out of time, and we finally got the car down the track once. But it moved around on me, and it made a couple moves, and it's going to take a couple of runs to get up to speed and get myself into a position where I think I can win a race.
This car, which car is this? Like, is this your family car? And I know there was some damage a couple of years ago while licensing, and there was a lot that needed to be done. Is this like that car that is repaired, revamped, new chassis? What are we talking about?
No, so this chassis or this car was built brand new this season for Lexus. So it was built by JFR. So it was built with Robert Hight's car for the year, pretty much. It was kind of a clone of his. And we tested it. We made about 13 runs with it in preseason tests, and we just never really got a handle on the handling of the car or even the performance of it. And we went back to our other car for the Gainesville race and had such great success, we really never got away from it. So we sent the car back to JFR. They made some modifications to the chassis and the steering, and we finally brought it back out for the first time Monday at Vegas. And after Vegas, and I made a couple runs in it, and the problem what was going on Monday out there, Monday the thing got inside on me a little bit, and it just locked the clutch up and jerked the front end of the air and made a hard left, and I did my best to pull it back and had to shut off a little bit early, but still was able to muster a 4 flat out of it, only running 700 feet, so it's going to be fast.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Alan?
I'm just wondering could this turn into something? I mean, you get out there and get the bug again?
I don't know. They're reading an awful lot into this. There's no plans. At this point, I know the first thing I said was this just, and I'm sure it's just a 1 weekend thing, but I've never, like I said, I've always been very careful to use to never mutter the words until I was sure I was done to use the word retired, because once I say those words, I feel like I shouldn't get back in the car again. I've always ever said maybe I should just take some time off or see what else is going on, or am I happy not driving? And I have been. I've been totally cool not driving, but after this weekend, there's no plans. I'm not looking for sponsors to try and find driving jobs at this point.
Yeah, but the car looks great, Del. Like, look at that thing. The folks at CP Carrillo put together. I had to rob this from NHRA SEMA show promotion, but that is a great looking race car. What does Alexis think about this? I'm sure my opinion is that she would be stoked about it, and the chance of you guys to line up side by side at all probably would have her juices flowing. But you tell me, what was that like?
Yep, she was the first phone call I made after talking to my wife. I called her right away, and the exact word she used was stoked. She was absolutely stoked for it. She was very excited, 100% supportive of it. And, I don't know, if you look back in the history of her driving, some of her best driving and she's ever done have been against me, So she makes it tough on me. I won't make it easy on her. She won't make it easy on me, and we'll go out there and have ourselves a tough race, I'm sure.
Have you given any thought to, I mean, you're kind of inserting yourself, you mentioned earlier when you started, into the middle of a championship chase. I mean, if you come up against one of the big three, you've been in that position where all you've got to do is focus and win, and now you could be in there just playing spoiler.
I tell you what, those guys were racing all year long. They're practiced up. Their cars are running perfect. They've had all year to get in that position, so I don't think they're worried about me. But in the past, I have decided a few championships, and so is Alexis working under me. I think one of Robert Hight's championships and one of Capsa's championships have come down to cars we beat at the finals for basically for them. I mean, we did it for ourselves, but it happened to work out that way. So never know. I mean, like I said, I do believe this car is going to run very fast. I'm going to have to do a good job driving. I'm not practiced up at all. If I were going to do this, I would take a lot of time and I get myself physically back in shape and mentally spend some time running. But I'm just going to kind of jump in there and wing it and just see what I can do.
I love it. I love it. Sammy Eubanks says he smells a pit party. I'm sure he's talking about the Margarita. I'm not going to put the pressure on you, but are you bringing it?
Dude, it's sitting all the way back in Indiana right now. It's sitting back in Auburn. If it had to come out here, Connie Claire would have to bring it out on 747. That'd be the only way we can make it on time, and that'd be up to them. If Doug wins the championship and they want to ship it out, it's on them.
All right. And so on that note, let's put on your cap as someone who's been through this, who's watching this. You mentioned Doug a couple of times. I think that's the feel-good story, right? Like Doug is the feel-good story that everyone, like if it can't go their driver's way, they would love to see Doug close the circuit, right? Like get this that stat off of his back that he hasn't won a championship and just win it already. You've got Leah and you've got Steve Torrence, who's got all the experience. The guy's won everything. How do you see Top Fuel when you look at it from slightly afar?
The three pretty equally matched cars, really. If you go back and look, all three of them have won and lost on hole shots up here. So I think it's going to come down to a driver's race. Doug, man, we all want Doug to win, and I'm sure a lot of people want to see Leah win also. She doesn't have nearly as many second place finishes or heartbreaks as Doug does at this point. But I think one day Steve Torrence said it. He said, a lot of people deserve championships, but you still have to earn it. And I think all three drivers are in a position where they've earned it in Top Fuel, and it's going to be tough. Funny car, you have the same thing. Here you have Bob Tasca, who's just running great. I mean, it would be you would say everybody deserves one. You still have to earn one, and for him to win, he has to go through Robert Hight and Matt Hagan, and both those guys every single year are right. They're always in the mix to win a championship. You do not win a championship without going through one of those two drivers or both of them. So Bob Tasca has a huge task at hand right now. I mean, my gut says, and not that I'm playing favorites at all, but I mean, if Doug Kalitta and Robert Hight appear to be, in my opinion, the front runners for this.
All right. Now, I promised Dell that this would be a quickie because he's got to work. He's got stuff he's got to do. You can imagine you're getting ready. So thank you very much for this, Dell. I appreciate you. Free In-N-Out for veterans and active duty military on Friday. How cool is that? That'll be your final question.
Dude, that's awesome, man. In-N-Out Burger, they've come out here and supported this track and supported the race and veterans. I mean, I think it should be free hamburgers every day for veterans. So I appreciate them at least giving it to them for one day. They're not nearly get the credit that they deserve here in this country.
Excellent. All right, back to work, Dell. We'll see you at the track. Thank you for making the time.
Okay, thank you.
There goes Dell Worsham with us here on WFO Radio. How great is that, Alan? That Dell, like, hey, Dell, and he's like, yep, he's on the show. And the folks at CP Carrillo putting together this program with Dell, doing a great job. Look at that. It's a great looking, very modern looking funny car. I could see that out there full time, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. I think you might be getting a little bit ahead of things, but no, I love the guys at CP Carrillo. They actually made the pistons for my cackle motor that I'm putting together right now. They, just like everybody else, right? Go online, fill out the form, do the deal, click, bang, boom, and they followed up with a couple of things that want to make sure we get this right and got them to me in a hurry. So. And
since we're plugging the folks at CP Carrillo, they have also done the pistons for Project Pontiac through the relationships at the Engine Performance Expo and Total Seal. When Gary Stinnett said, who's making the pistons for this thing? We quickly honed in on the folks at CP Carrillo. And so very exciting to see how that They clearly have the WFO market cornered, right? Del, Allen, Joe. All right, now, a lot of people had questions in the comment section, guys, and I'm sorry I did not ask all of your questions for Del, but I promised him it would be, quick and dirty right on this show, and here he is, in and out and back to work. Kind of amazing. The motivation was the television ads. Like, he saw an ad on TV and said, I want to race that race, and is putting together the program. Like, that's how great stories start.
Well, he's a guy that grew up in Southern California, and that track is such a big part of his history, from going out there with his dad all the way back into the alcohol funny car days. And then, the number of times that he raced there and the successes he's had there. And, I don't know that it's any different than me, when you come to Firebird, and it's like, man, if I had a car, I could enter that just to go do it. But, the fact that he's got a funny car and the fact that he's got everything to put together makes it an even cooler story. But I really think that there's a lot of people out there that when the race comes to your home track, you kind of get that, is there a way I could do this? And since he's in a position to do it, he's going to. I mean, you feel the same way about Gainesville, right? I mean, you're working on being there in 2 years.
Yeah. Working on being there in 2 years. Exactly. That would be, if that were to happen, then it will be like a life's accomplishment in drag racing life, of course. Amazing stuff. All right, let's get into it. Give us a recap on the second Vegas Pomona, the final Lucas Oil regional event of the year. We know that some additional championships have been locked down. Bruno has become a 4-time comp eliminator world champ, the only one. John Labuse has become a super comp champ, and now he's got a super gas and super comp championship. So he's, become world elite, or more so if he was already. What else was, Reinhart comment worthy?
Well, a number of things. Now that all of the regional and divisional stuff is handled, Brian Hauger is going to be the Western Region champion funny car. Doug was the last guy that had a shot at him, and when he lost the final round, then we didn't even have to go to the tiebreaker on that. So he ended up getting that taken care of. There's still a lot to race for, though. I think one of the things that was very noteworthy, Wyatt Wagner came rolling in, as the old mathematically still alive thing, right? And then he won the race. So now not only is he mathematically still alive, but I think he's a legitimate contender to go after the Superstock title. Brad Burton wasn't there last weekend. As I understand it, he couldn't get away for work-related reasons. But he's going to be in Pomona, and Brad will go in there with a point lead, and Kyle Rizzoli will go in there with a legitimate shot. Wyatt Wagner's going to go in there, on a bit of a hot streak with a legitimate shot. So that's going to be one that should come down to the wire. It was the typical second Las Vegas race, which is always so much fun. Mike Rice puts together a pretty comprehensive package for who's doing what in the points, and that's for every division as well as the national stuff. And then, between Rick Green and Dave Rowe on the Drag Race Central side of stuff, we're all going, okay, wait, did that just lock up the Division 2 Super Gas thing? Yes. Okay. Well, okay, wait a minute. Now he goes one more round, he could win the Division 1 thing. And there were a couple of them that literally came down to the last races of the day before we knew. For instance, Bruno, I think that's classic. Had Glenn Treadwell gone ahead and won one more round, then he would still be mathematically alive going into Pomona. So there was just all kinds of that kind of stuff going on. I got to tell you this, though. It was the best 4 days of weather I believe I've ever seen in Las Vegas. It was high 70s, low 80s. There wasn't enough wind to blow the tire smoke off the starting line after the burnouts. It was absolutely incredible how great the weather was all weekend long. And it was just a really good, really solid, clean race. No big incidents. Nothing really stupid happened. And, everybody pretty much got out of there with their stuff intact.
Are you doing that just to rub it in? Because I survived the starting line on Sunday of the Nevada Nationals, where we were being buffeted and blown by an intense, gusty wind full of dust and grit. It was a very challenging thing. And I shouldn't even complain, because poor Amanda Busick, the aforementioned, happy birthday, Amanda, and Jason Galvin, like, they had to take to their cars. They had to hide out from the wind. Amanda was telling me on Tuesday morning just what a challenge it was being on the top end. And here Reinhardt is talking about the beautiful windless weather.
Well, you guys just picked the wrong weekend. What can I tell you? I will tell you, though, yesterday here in Vegas, the wind definitely kicked back up. So for whatever reason, Mother Nature decided to be really nice to us for the division race, and then she turned it back on.
Yeah, I guess so. All right. So let's go back because we did not have a show last week. For those who are wondering, I was at SEMA. You were in Vegas. The town is overtaken by the F1 preparation, but I think we put on a pretty good race. And spending a little time in the booth, I've got a quick interview that I'm going to play later with Mike Salinas and a tiny one with Robert Hight. But both of those drivers really stepped up. Mike Salinas, what a day at the races, and Robert Hight, ultimate throwdown race, right? Living in the 80s, just got it done. Ran Tasca in the final round to set up what we're about to see. I participated in the press conference yesterday, and I kind of lobbed it up because I just wanted to hear these guys. We just saw the NASCAR championship. We've seen an IndyCar championship. The Formula One championship has long been decided. This is the best championship race of any of the major motorsports, and we got two of them. Top Fuel and Funny Car. I'm really hoping that the mainstream automotive media dives in this weekend. NASCAR's done. Everything's done. We got the spotlight to ourselves, with exception of the NFL, of course. Just give us a little, discussion on what we saw in Vegas and then turn it to Pomona.
Well, I thought at Top Fuel, to start with in Vegas, how crazy is it that the three front runners in Top Fuel all got beat on a hole shot? And all three of them, I guarantee, are going to be going into Pomona thinking about it. Leah's got the best chance that she's ever had to go in here and emerge as a champion. Steve Torrence is trying to come back after, basically sacrificing a year last year. But I can't help but think about what Alan Johnson has accomplished over the years in Las Vegas or in Pomona. That place has been magical for him, whether it was making the run with Tony Schumacher, whether it was getting his first win with his late brother Blaine all the way back in 1996, whether it was coming out and winning the first race he was in there with Gary Scelzi. Pomona has just always been magic for Alan Johnson. And if there's any kind of something that tips the scales in my mind, I think I would lean, half a degree that way.
Excellent. Well, right. It's tough. We'll break it all down before we leave Vegas, which it's kind of like a combined show because we weren't on last week. I do want to mention all of the statement of action against participant. On another screen, I've got NHRA Racer up. There has been so much talk about what happened with Erica and Erica's runs in Vegas. She goes on to win the race, which I kind of feel like it makes it slightly irrelevant, but maybe not. I want your take. Tasca and the headers and J.R. Todd and Jeff Deal exceeding maximum width, etc. In the media, there has been a lot of discussion about these penalties, right? Like at the track, I had discussions with fellow racers they're racers. I'm not racers, but was what they were doing cheating or was it not cheating? Talking about the teams that had the safety switch routed around or however they did that. The width of the headers, like, is this cheating? Should they be kicked out of the event? Should they not be kicked out of the event? Some are suggesting that it's personal with the NHRA. They're picking drivers to give penalties to punish them. You've been around a long time. How do you see what's happening? All of a sudden, the pop in activity of the tech department, because that's what I notice. I notice activity as opposed to, why and how long. They're active. They're looking for stuff right now.
Well, the tech department is always active. And I think, just to start with, Lonnie Grimm sat down with Tony Pedregon at the SEMA show, part of the live broadcast thing. I wish I could tell you how to find it. Somebody sent me hey, click here and see, and went into very clear detail, in particular about the pro stock stuff. And then they touched on the headers thing too. But the pro stock deal was absolutely positively not in any way, shape, or form any kind of a performance advantage. It could have been a potential safety thing. Obviously, everything worked out fine. But what the tech department has long done, we're not NASCAR, okay? They don't send all of the cars into the tech barn every week to get lasered and get checked and get They run the same cars every week, week in and week out. And the tech department could easily spend an hour and a half every Thursday on every car there and waste a complete day and a half going over everything. But then we change engines, we rebuild engines, we change things just on a really regular basis. So the car that you teched on Thursday and the car that ends up on the racetrack on Sunday really don't bear a whole lot of resemblance to each other. So what the tech department has long done is they just pick things and spot check. They will decide, okay, this run, when the top fuel cars come down the racetrack, we're going to check wing angle. Or this run, when the pro stock cars come down the racetrack, we're going to plug in and we're going to check their rev limiter data. We're going to check whatever. They spot check things from time to time, and the competitors know I could get checked at any time for anything, and that's what makes them keep their cars on the legal side of the fence. The explanation that Lonnie gave about the bypassing of the safety switch in the pro stock car, I thought was interesting because it was something I didn't know. There's actually a bypass built into the system because the cars won't operate without air. Okay. I mean, I don't know if everybody knows that or not, but you should. You cannot start a pro stock car without air. You have to have the air bottle on. You have to have everything energized. You have to, in order for the car to start. But if you want to make adjustments to the computer, you want to make adjustments to anything electrical on the car, you want to make adjustments to the shocks, you don't necessarily need to air the thing up to make that happen. So there's a bypass. You can just basically go clip, okay, we're bypassed that. Now turn the ignition on. We can go into the computer. We can do a tune-up change. We can do without having to energize the air system. And that bypass was what didn't get removed or didn't get undone. So the car was able to go ahead and start and run without air. But when it was found, that's a technical violation. And the penalty for the technical violation is that the run is DQ'd. And that was exactly what happened. I believe there were 4 cars that all had it. And I don't think it was anything intentional, because if you're going to do something intentional to cheat, aren't you going to do it on the performance side? I mean, I certainly would. So that's what that was. The Bob Tasca header thing and the J.R. Todd header thing, Jeff Deal's disqualification was not header related. Those two, I've listened to, both sides of the story basically. And I think the biggest issue there was a miscommunication early on. And hopefully the tech department will go in and look at, okay, how do we make sure this doesn't happen again in the future? Because I think that more than one person ended up with egg on their face over that deal when, it was discovered, there was a ruling, and then it was changed, and then it came back. And I think that what needs to happen there is for the communication lines to be a little bit clearer. So if something is wrong, it's like, okay, this is the deal. This is it, period, done, over, and we move on. But I also don't believe from what I understand and from everybody that I've talked to that it was any kind of a performance enhancement at all, but that doesn't mean it wasn't out of spec. And if you're out of spec and, things like header width are black and white, right? It's go, no go. Well, I only missed it by a little. Well, next time you miss it by a little more and a little more, it's go, no go. It either fits or doesn't fit. And so that's something that the teams now are going to be more aware of going forward. As you make more and more runs, I don't know how many people realize how much force there is on the headers in a funny car. Go back and find the video of Jeff Deal's car from Chicago a few years ago when it blew the header off of it, and the car almost took off like an airplane because all of a sudden that down force turned into up force underneath the body, and it literally pushed the car off the ground. So over a period of time, the headers just naturally are going to sag. And when you've got a header angle like this and they sag, they're going to get a little wider. Now, that's not going to make the car any faster. It's not going to make the car any slower, but it will miss the no-go-go gauge, the go or no-go gauge, because if they're this and they sag, they're going to get a little bit wider. And I think that was part of the issue with Bob Tasca's machine. Now, if that means that you got to change the headers more regular, okay. If that means maybe you manufacture them so that they're a little narrower to start, so when they do sag, that they're still going to be within spec, okay. But I think everybody now is on notice that this is something that will get a run tossed out when you're in competition, so you better stay on top of it.
Yeah, I think that's a great explanation. And as the sport becomes more of a media sport, and you've got all these people talking about all these different issues, and Dugenet mentions it up here. It's just about it seems, and maybe this is good or maybe it's bad, I'm just putting it out there, that it's like the way the world finds out about these things seems opaque. And when something is opaque, it allows people to make up whatever they want to be true. And then with the speed of social media, they put it out there, and it's out there, and it's in video, and there's people talking about it. And maybe something that isn't true becomes true in the minds of so many people. Like Bob Tasca goes to the final round. Clearly it wasn't a performance enhancement. He went out there and ran very well. That kind of deal. But then some would say, well, thousandths of a second matter, like you know the world that you live in right now with conspiracy theories about things far more important than drag racing. It just seems like there's a lot of people that want to turn something into something that it's not. And if we can avoid that in any way by being a little more clear, I think that's something we should strive for. And that's all. And I wanted to tackle this because I know there's a lot of people with questions about things, even if they generally agree, right? Like Tasca, was he doing anything? Clearly not, because the go, no-go gauge fit. And they went to the final round and lost a really tough race against Robert, who just threw one down. But going into the final race, there should be no questions. I think everyone should be ready to accept what happens.
Well, now going into the final race, I think everybody's going to be very, very conscious of where they stand and making sure that everything is right, because there's so much on the line, especially for those championship players. And I also think, the whole, cheating thing, if you're Bob Tasca, what do you gain by cheating if you go out and blatantly cheat? Maybe you win a race, maybe you win a championship. Okay, that might be a gain. What's your risk? Because if you're found to be legitimately, knowingly cheating, what do you think Ford is going to say about that? What do you think PPG is going to say about that? What do you think? I mean, you look at what happened, Michael Waltrip Racing and some of the other stuff, when they were found to be legitimately cheating, and then the sponsor's like, whoa, I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want my brand or my name to be tied to somebody. And so way more often than not, when this stuff happens, I think it is potentially a misunderstanding or a miscommunication or, something that got overlooked, not something where a guy goes, okay, nobody's looking, right? Do this. Because the potential downside is so much greater than the potential upside. I don't think anybody with any form of business sense would think that's a good idea. And I also think, the guys out there have got enough integrity that they don't want to be that guy.
Right. Well, exactly. And some, again, there's many voices out there, and you can say anything you want nowadays. And so you gotta knock these things down every once in a while. Like you let, what is it? A lie goes around the world before the truth gets its pants on in the morning. And that is the case. Like people are thinking, some outlandish things. We'll just put it out there. But like Clay Millican, the loose ballast protest, right? Like he had loose ballast. They're going to protest the whole back and forth. The activity that has happened recently. What about with Clay? What about all these things? What about? And it seems like it's an endless flow of what about from people who want to know questions about the tech and the way they're handling their deal. How do we put them at ease, if ever?
Well, I don't know that. What NHRA decides to do as far as how they are going to, report on things. I do like what NASCAR does is that on Tuesday, the report's going to come out, right? There was this infraction, there was this penalty, there was this. That's the deal. And in NASCAR, everybody knows that, okay, well, hey, they found something on Allen's car at the last race. Tuesday, we're going to know for sure. I wish that we had a little bit more of a cut and dried plan in place for that, for doing that reporting and for getting the word out there. I don't know if that's something that could happen or not. In Clay Millican's case, the car shook and something came off the car and was left on the racetrack. And what it was ballast. Now, that's unsecured ballast. There's no getting around that the ballast was not secure. Again, I don't think it was intentional. I don't think anybody was trying, it's not like, well, we want to do this because, hey, if it falls off, it'll make the car faster because we don't have that extra 20 pounds. Guys, they weigh the cars at the end of the run. It has to be there, right? Nobody's going up there thinking that this is going to be an advantage for us. For whatever reason, when they put the ballast on the front of the car because it had been wheel standing, it didn't get secured to the point that it would hold it on the car like it needed to. You think they're ever going to make that mistake again? No. Now could there be a better way for it to be made public? Potentially. But that's those decisions get made a few floors above my office, if you know what I'm saying.
Right. And Nick is on here and he's a listener and he's saying, the tech needs to sit down and talk with the teams. And, there's constant communication going on between the tech department and the teams. Like in that area, I feel like there's really good communication.
I'm curious what he thinks that, that needs to be talked about. And if you want to send me an email, shoot it to me, announcer@nhra.com, and we can discuss it. But the teams in the tech department are in constant communication.
Constant. I think the tech officials need to be more clear and speak up with the teams. Like, I don't know. I feel from my perspective as a quasi journalist and NHRA contractor, just so everybody knows and is clear, and we're attacking this because I want everybody to understand that we'll go to where the information is as we get ready for the finals. I want it to be a clean finals. I want everybody to feel the excitement that I feel. And I think this is out there kind of looming over a lot of people unnecessarily. But the tech department and the racers are at both ways, right? Like when the tech department comes to talk to the racers, they probably don't want to hear about it, and vice versa. But they are in constant communication, whether it be positive communication, that is a different story, but they are in constant communication. I can tell you though, like here's one I'll throw out there. A pro stock team said to me that the safety switch deal was cheating. And I said, that word seems kind of strong. Why is it cheating? And like, well, they have a way to avoid their car potentially not starting that I have to endure, right? Like they know their car's going to start because they've bypassed the safety system. And my car has a safety system, which means it might not start. Maybe it's 2%, but they don't have it and I have it, which means they're cheating. And so at that point I said, all right, I don't, I'm out of my element, Donnie, right? Like, okay. Do we want it to be more cut and dry? Do we want it to be more draconian? Because, more the second somebody gets bounced, 1,000 people are going to complain that their favorite driver got bounced in the same moment, and probably many of the same people who just. But
let's take what you just said. Let's take that discussion to its ultimate end. Okay.
Yes.
And your car didn't start because of an air system. You could have bypassed it, so you don't get to make the run. That's the penalty, right? You played by this deal. Your car didn't start, so you don't get to make the run.
Right.
I bypassed it. I made the run, and the run got thrown out. Who benefited?
Well, in that example, nobody, assuming it would be caught. But how long has it been running like this? How many runs have been made? We don't know. We don't know what we don't know.
I don't believe it's an epidemic. I don't think that anybody bypasses a switch and leaves it bypassed. One of the things that air does on those cars is activates the parachutes. Now, I don't know about you, but I ain't going to Pomona. I'm not going to, some of the shorter tracks on tour and going, okay, we're going to bypass the air system because I want to make darn sure I got enough air to make sure the parachutes come out. It's not having air doesn't mean the parachutes won't come out, but it means the odds are less. You have air to launch the parachutes to ensure that they do come out. And I wouldn't want to go to, especially some of those really short racetracks, and bypass that because I want to know I got air when I get down there and push the button to launch the parachute. So, there's the air in a pro stock car also runs the shocks. A pro stock car that doesn't have air is not going to make a great run. So, I don't believe that any of that was done with the intention of, okay, we're bypassing this because, we want to be sure the car starts. Because if you don't have air, you're not making a good run anyway. So, ensuring that the car starts is not going to be your savior for that.
Excellent. No, I appreciate it. Thank you for doing this. I'm going to talk a little bit more on it a little bit later because, I went through this when I was on NASCAR radio in, the early 2000s to date myself, before we started doing this show. It was when the rules were, actions detrimental to stock car racing, right? And it was like whatever they wanted to hit you with, it could be actions detrimental to stock car racing. And as the sport became more and more popular, and of course now it has receded a little bit, but they realized that like gray area of action wasn't going to cut it anymore, that they had to be cut and dry, black and white. You did or you didn't, go or no go. And look, many years later, a lot of fans have been turned off to the sport, maybe partially because of that. Who knows? So, be careful what you wish for, all of those things. Someone asked about Jeff Deal. I think it was tape on the parachutes, right? It was not a header deal. It was
not a header issue, no.
It was NHRAracer.com, guys. You can go there and see actions, all the statements of action against participants and detailed run schedule if you would like. And also, I have been told that the Lonnie Grimm interview, just anecdotally, was Friday. First. He was first.
It was very early in the day. I know that, yeah.
First on Friday. So you can go to the SEMA coverage and see Lonnie's interview, and I certainly will as well. All right. Now, I hope everyone is satiated on that and is ready to be excited for the greatest single drag race in the history of all of our lives. We have 3 drivers in Top Fuel and 3 drivers in Funny Car with a near equal chance to win the championship. If I'm Leah and Neil Strasbaugh and Mike Domagala, they got to get 4 points on these dudes to make it within a round, because they are outside of one round right now. So they are on a little bit different mission than, say, Steve Torrence is. Of course, Torrence would love to expand that and lock out Leah in qualifying. That one round, we've seen it, can make a big difference. So strategy begins right from jump.
Yeah, exactly. You look at Ron Capps last year, won the championship by 3 points and gained 4 points Saturday afternoon in Q4. That was the difference. So that's what Neil's team needs to do. That's what Leah's team needs to do. They need to go out there and garner little points, every one they can possibly get. But the reality is, win the race. If you win the race, you're going to be in pretty good shape. And obviously we find out Saturday night where the ladders are going to show, and then it's like, okay, but if you end up on the same side of the ladder with Steve, doesn't make a difference. Win the race, because if you win the race, you're going to go 2 rounds faster, 2 rounds farther than he is anyway. So, you go in there with the mentality, do we want to get some of the little points? Yes. But if you don't, you're not throwing in the towel. You're going in there to win the race.
Well, exactly. So Steve leads by 15 over Doug. The whole history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. Angle with Alan Johnson now being behind Doug's car. Like, that just, to me, is such an amazing story. Not to root against anybody, right? Like, we don't root, we don't cheer, we watch the results and then just take it and tell the story. But if Doug Kalitta parades down that return road after a victory in the final round with Alan Johnson behind him, it's a 20-year journey to the championship with those two. And what an amazing story it would be.
It would be, but if Leah does it, what an amazing story it would be, right? I mean, second year, new team. You look at Tony Stewart. Has anybody ever won a NASCAR championship and an NHRA championship in the same year? No. So there's an opportunity there for, potentially a little bit of history to be made. You look at Steve Torrence and all the history he's got. There's not a whole lot of 5-time champions out there in Top Fuel. He's got a chance to put his name on that really, really short list. So, they all have got plenty to strive for. They've all got plenty of motivation. And whoever ends up winning it is going to be a really good story. I promise you.
Mike Salinas and Justin Ashley, they are outside. Okay. So what Capps did last year, I think, was, outside of what would commonly be expected to happen, right? It was 69 points, I believe, but he did it. And so that's the number. Like, okay, you can come back from 69 out of the lead. These two are 76 and 82 respectively. So they need help. They need help. But that having been said, go out and win the race, right? You're Mike Salinas, got a very fast car. He thinks he can run 340. We'll hear him talk about that a little bit later on in the show from SEMA. They're going for 340 on Friday night, Q2. They're trying to run 340, says Mike Salinas. But if that's the thing about it being the finals. That's why Del Worsham wants to do it. It's not about counting points. It's about go win the race and everything will kind of fall into place.
Well, if you win the race, you get to be on the longest winning streak of anybody for the year, because you get to be on a winning streak until we get to Gainesville next year. And if you go back into the shop during the winter break If you've got the championship trophy to look at, that's a lot of motivation, right? We need to get back out there and try to win one of those. If you have the In-N-Out Burger Finals trophy to look at, that's a lot of motivation. We won the last one. How soon can we get going racing again to go win another one? And so that is really a big deal to a team. If you can't win the championship, you'd certainly want to go out as being the last winner of the year. And listen, look what happened last year. I don't think 72 points or 78 points is. I don't think that that means you're absolutely completely locked out if you're chasing somebody, because somebody can have a bad day. Somebody can smoke the tires in the first round and leave the door open. It's when you're chasing three somebodies, because the odds of all three of them doing something and going out early are a whole lot longer than the odds of one of them making it happen. I think back in the day when I believe it was Hot Rod Fuller had a chance, right? If he goes to the semifinals, he locks it up. If he goes to the second round, it would take a miracle. And they smoked the tires the first round. They left the door open, and the Army guys were able to sneak around him and get it. That was chasing one guy. It wasn't chasing three guys. Now, having said that, look at last year in Top Fuel. We go in there with 5 people, I think, that had a chance at it. It's like, boy, wait, when we get to the semis, this is really going to be something, right? And then it's like, bing, bang, boom, it's over by 11:30. So it could happen. You go in there, you prepare yourself and get ready to win the race, and then, find out how big a sense of humor the racing gods have on Sunday.
Yeah,
and
Steve
the weather's
said
supposed to be really fast.
Steve said it in the press conference yesterday that the story's already written. We just have to go act it out and see what the racing gods have in store for us. And in many ways, I believe that as well. You go back to what was it? A 10-thou at Reading for a Robert over Hagan, or, Hagan lost by a 10,000th of a second. So, there's your championship right there. Maybe we just don't know. It's already written for those that believe that. Funny car, Hagan, Tasca, Hight, all within one round of racing. Robert made the case in the press conference yesterday. I'm referencing it a lot, but we just spoke with these guys, that under, without points and a half, then qualifying would make a difference. Whereas right now, qualifying doesn't make a difference. I personally don't like to, here we are, the final race, and we're talking about the system. Let's talk about the system in January when we're getting ready for a new system, right? I like points and a half. But I also understand why Robert doesn't like points and a half. Go back to last year. But it's a 3-horse race, cut and dry. 3-horse race. Caps is going to finish 4th. Everybody behind Caps is in a giant scrum for points position. That's exciting. John Force, J.R. Todd, Chad Green. He could finish as high as 5th. So that's very exciting. Del Worsham is into the mix. But you got a 3-horse race with the 3 best cars throughout the year for the most part. Tasca, Hight, Hagan. Strategy-wise, since qualifying points are probably not going to matter because of points and a half, unless you get all of them. How do you play it qualifying? What is going to go into that, the 4 sessions as we get ready for the race? Or is it simply whoever goes furthest is going to be the champ?
Well, it certainly is whoever goes furthest is going to be the champ. But if I'm them, and I'm pretty certain that they all have the same mindset, because, Jimmy Prock and Dickie Venables don't know how to lay up. Right, they're going out there, going for the number 1 spot, and Tasca doing the same thing. At least in theory, the number 1 qualifier has got the easiest draw in round number 1, and it gives them the best spot on the ladder. You earn that, and I think that's what they're all going to be going for. The little points probably don't matter as much as they do a lot of the other times, but where you end up on the ladder could have a pretty big effect on your day. I mean, how much would whoever it is, right? How much would driver A like it if drivers B and C have to race each other in round 2? Okay, that's 1 out, right? That's 1 out that I don't have to worry about. And then it's down to 2 people. How much would you like or would you not like to all be on the same side of the ladder?
Yeah.
Do you want that or not?
I think I want that.
I do.
I want
because then you got your destiny in your own hands. Of course, if it comes down to you just got to win the race and you can win the championship, then it doesn't matter who's on what side of the ladder. But like I said, if you get 2 of them on one side and you're on the other, well, that's 1 guy you don't have to worry about because that problem's going to fix itself. But you're going to have to win the race to guarantee that you're going to win the title. And other than that, we'll watch it play out on Sunday.
Let's talk about that 81 that Jimmy Prock and Robert ran in the first round that he told me on the starting line, that's not real. That's not real. Jimmy, you just won an 81. Give me, it's BS, right? Except, no, it was real. And you gave
funny because Robert said the same thing. He said, 81, and then handed him the time slip, and he goes, no, that works.
It was just so fun to see him like dismiss it and then come back and no, it was real. A happy accident, whatever. Can you learn from a happy accident like that, Alan? Do you believe happy accident at all?
You can if you can figure out why. And I actually talked about that a little bit last week on the PA. One of Austin Coyle's absolute catchphrases over and over and over again was he would tell everybody, it's never nothing, right? Why did he do that? Oh, it was nothing. No, it's never nothing. It's something. And if you can't figure out what the something is, then you can't either prevent or repeat. And it would drive him crazy if the car went faster than it was supposed to, and he couldn't figure out why. Because, you go back in his era, right? The car's supposed to run, 490. If it goes out there and runs 486, and he couldn't figure out why, that would drive him crazy, because if he couldn't figure out why, he couldn't do it again. And if he could go back and analyze everything and go, okay, well, here's what happened. The throwout bearing moved too fast, or the timing curve didn't fall off and come back in, or this is what happened. Okay, I can repeat that if I need to someday. But if he couldn't figure out why, it would drive him crazy. And you'd never tell him, why did it do that? Oh, it was nothing. No, it was something. We have to figure out what it is, because it's never nothing. It has to be something. So if Jimmy can figure out exactly what it did that made it go faster than it was supposed to, then I think that makes him even more dangerous than he already is, because if conditions present themselves again, now he would be able to go back and try to repeat that instead of going back and trying to run whatever he was trying to run, 85 or 86, and hoping that he gets a happy accident again. You don't want to go up there hoping for a happy accident.
The last time we were at Pomona, we had the unfortunate incident with John and J.R. Todd at the start of the season, but there was some center line crosses, and it got a conversation going about Pomona. And it has been mentioned, many times since then, this, as far as funny car racers go, this is maybe the toughest track to drive. Like, each lane is a challenge in its own way. And there's a lot going on. It's downhill. It's short. There's a bunch going on. How much is something like that factoring in to a championship race, that these racers got to really get up on the wheel? It's not, quote unquote, for Matt Hagan, not like Vegas, like just, straight down the track and the track is perfect and smooth and hooked up. And this is one that you've got to really drive the car. Caps has said it's the hardest track to drive.
I don't know. Having not been in the position, but I can tell you this, I don't want my driver going to the starting line thinking about driving at 800 feet. I don't want my driver going to the starting line thinking about anything other than do your job, cut a light, do it. Everybody's there, has been there. They've got enough experience at Pomona. They know what they need to do. And hopefully that becomes second nature and happens accidentally. I do not want my driver turning on the first light and then thinking, okay, now remember, it's going to pull you left. Try to stay off the wall. Try to stay off the wall. Oh, look, the light screen. You can't do that. You have to go in there focused on the one thing you need to do, which is making sure that you get the thing off the starting line, and then hopefully the rest of it, your instinct will take over.
All right. Nitro categories, both in question. Naturally aspirated, not so much. No. Erica Enders went out there and just kind of threw it down on everybody in Vegas. I said it to her the week ago, is history repeating itself? And it really kind of was. And so now it's not, I'm calling it a foregone conclusion that she's going to win championship number 6. And the way they did it this year, though, very different. Struggle out of the box, as low as 14th, I believe, stormed up through the field in the countdown, and is now in position to win pretty much by just, getting qualifying points.
Yeah, I mean, going into Chicago, I don't think anybody had them penciled in as a championship favorite or even as a contender, but they were able to find the happy spot in the car. They were able to right the ship, as it were, and get it back going the right direction. If you're going to be in a playoff system, you got to get hot at the right time. And they certainly did. where you look at Dallas as kind of the other side of that. You know, Dallas was absolutely the car to beat for a very large chunk of the season, kind of like Justin Ashley was the car to beat for a very large chunk of the season, but cooled off a little bit comes playoff time. And if you're going to have a playoff system, then you've got to get hot at the right time. And Erica and her team certainly look like they've done that.
Yeah, I'm a believer in you have to learn how to win a championship. No doubt that there are people that just go out there and they just do it, you know, like, hey, man, I won. I'm amazing. But you got to learn how to do it. And we're seeing people go through the process. Erica knows how to do it. And that's kind of why my eye is on Steve Torrence, because those guys know how to do it. They've been there, the feeling, the pressure, the intensity, all of that stuff. They've been down that road many, many times. But Erica Enders gets the job done in Vegas, gets to the final round once again against Greg. Greg, blows the back window out, severe tire shake. The top three in points, Erica, Greg, Hartford, Dallas, Aaron Stanfield. Like, Hartford's got a shot at third in the point standing, so he's got something to race for. I mean, he's got a shot at second in the point standings, but it would take Greg going out early. Just a lot to race for everybody else still on the line.
Well, there is. The farther you stand to the left of the stage when you get introduced at the banquet is a big deal. And I don't know what anybody's deals are, but I know that a number of sponsor packages have bonuses. If you win the championship, obviously there's a bonus there. If you're in the top 5, there's a bonus there. So there could be some financial gain to be had there as well. And the fact that the people, they're just competitors. If you gave them all lawnmowers and said, okay, let's see who can mow the half an acre the quickest, they're going to try to win. That's what they do. Erica is certainly in the best position, and she's there because her team has deserved it. But I think, just to touch on one of the things you mentioned, Steve Torrance's guys know how to do it. Alan Johnson knows how to win championships. He's done it. Now Doug has been in plenty of high pressure situations. I just don't picture him being the weak link. And Leah's team, I do believe every member of Leah's team has won a championship with somebody before they all came to that team. So it's not a bunch of guys that, on any of the Nitro side, it's not a bunch of guys that have never been in the position before. Some of the drivers are new to the position potentially, but the teams themselves, there's plenty of experience there for all 6 of the Nitro players that are going in. So it's going to be fun to watch.
No, excellent points. Absolutely. Pro Stock Motorcycle, on the other hand, Gage is the man. Yeah. Gage goes on there, and he's poor Eddie Krawick, right? Like, Gage, what are you doing to this guy? Like, what is he, 6-0 now against Eddie? 6-0. And I love Eddie, and this is why, like, we kid because we love, like, come on, Eddie. I had a great conversation with Andrew at the side of the stage at SEMA about Gage, and Andrew is, he's shaking his head. It's a bit of an anomaly, like what he's able to do because of the combination of Gage and who he is and all of these things, that he cannot do that with Eddie and Eddie's bike. Gage is just a deserving champion in 2023.
Well, he is. And the thing that surprises me probably more than anything about Gage, and the year that he spent last year driving the Stouffer bike and just getting a little pro stock experience, I think, is what's paying the big dividends. Because we've seen a number of other motorcycle competitors come from other disciplines, right? Whether it's a funny bike deal or whether it's a no bar bike thing or whatever over on the AMA side of the fence. And it takes them a while to realize the amount of finesse that it takes on a pro stock motorcycle. If you're running a nitrous bike, if you're running a turbo bike, if you're running a no bar bike, there's a whole lot more manhandling, so to speak, that goes into making those things go down the racetrack. And you simply can't drive a pro stock motorcycle like that and be competitive at a high level. So I think the year that Gage spent last year on a bike that really wasn't competitive, but just understanding this is what it takes to ride one of these things. And by the time he got down to the end of the season, even though he wasn't on a competitive machine, but he was smooth and he would, kept the bike straight, didn't make any bad moves, and all of the things that you need to do to be successful on a pro stock motorcycle. And that's what caught Andrew's eye. It's like, this guy's doing everything right. If you put him on a motorcycle that's competitive, if he brings those habits here, but I don't believe if he would have got on the Vance and Hines bike last year, they would have had the same level of success, certainly not as early, because there would have been some of that learning curve on what it takes to be successful on a pro stock motorcycle is not the same thing that it takes to be successful in any other motorcycle arena.
Yeah, but what about Mike and Carl Salinas? Do you think that they demonstrated that in their Monday test out at Vegas? I heard they were playing around with pro stock motorcycles. Were you there for that?
I was there for that. Yeah.
And what kind of
I don't believe if you put either one of them on a Vance and Hines bike that they would win their first event.
Okay. Gadsden was on it though, right? I saw those. He was on the Vance and Hines. Mike and Carl have been threatening. They're motorcycle guys, and they've been threatening to get out there. And I guess they did. A great regret of mine that I didn't go out there to see that, because they're both great friends, Carl especially. But what did you see out there in the Monday test?
Well, they're learning.
Yeah.
They're to be honest with you, I don't recall. Or if it was Mike, I didn't know it. There were a couple of times when I saw Mike standing on the starting line and Carl was on the bike. And again, let's just say that if they put him on the Vance and Hines bike this week, I don't think that he would be a threat to win. I think he's still, a couple of steps away from the comfort level that Gage has achieved.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it all works out in the finals or this weekend. Okay, final thoughts, Alan, before we let you go, as we get ready for this, the greatest single drag race in the history of Earth.
I think you might be overhyping it just a little.
Oh,
but
let him argue with us. Let him prove that the contrary. Why isn't it the greatest drag race in the history of Earth?
Well, the forecast looks pretty promising. The racetrack, the venue itself, just the history when you pull in that place. There's a few of them on tour that when you pull in, you just go, wow, we're here, right? Pomona is certainly one of those. And there's a lot of stuff on the line. There's going to be a lot of pressure. I expect we're going to have a great crowd out there over the weekend. So I'm just looking forward to it. I'm very excited to get there, but it's certainly going to be a little regret when we drive out on Sunday night, knowing that we don't get to do this again for a couple of months. So let's make the most of it.
Exactly. Yeah. Bittersweet, right? Happy we get to go, but it's a bummer that it ends. But that's the way it goes. That's the whole point of a season. All right, Alan, great job as usual. I'll see you out there in a couple of days. Super exciting. So many Lucas Oil championships and whatnot. We'll dive into all of it. Next week, we will not have a show in our normally scheduled time because you and I will be in recovery mode from the awards banquet. NHRA prom in full effect. It will be fun, but we'll figure out when to get together and we'll recap it all. Who knows what will happen?
All right, sounds good. As soon as I shut my computer off here, I'm throwing it in the bag and I'm headed out the door. I'm driving down to Pomona today.
Pomona, baby. Here we go. All right, Alan. Great job.
See you in a couple days.
There goes the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, with us here on WFO Radio. And this is what WFO is. We have deep, intense conversations and, who knows where it's going to go. Sometimes it goes in a nice and light and easy direction. Sometimes it goes into an intense direction. Listen, I know what everybody is talking about and we're thinking about. And I've got the chat section that I see, Stan, right? Stan is out there and he's wondering well, why didn't we mention the fact that there's a full schedule of pro stock? And well, because that's an off-season topic, Stan. There's only limited time to really talk about what's hot right now. I know a lot of racers that don't like that. I know a lot of racers that do like that. Here's the deal. I'm going to break it down for you, Stan. Super easy. If you pay, you don't like it. If you get paid, you love it. It's simple as that. You get paid for the races, then more races to get paid for. You're a crew chief, you're hired, you got to go to more races, you're going to get paid more. If you are leaving work, leaving your job, leaving your primary source of income to go and race, and it's going to be difficult on you to do that, and you got to find an extra, $150,000, $200,000 for those races. There it is. That's the breakdown. There's a lot of arguments to be made either way, and that's what the off season is for. And we will talk about them. We will talk about it. Communication. I said it years ago when talking about NASCAR, and they made many of the changes. Better communication is always better. There's no circumstance where worse communication is better. It's better when people don't understand and are unclear about what is going on or what is going to happen or what happened. And I think that NASCAR put in a lot of effort to make it cut and dry, and then their fans got pissed. Now, the only reason their fans got pissed is not that. There's a lot of reasons why their fans are irritated, and their favorite drivers all retired and they don't have a connection. You know, the NASCAR championship was this past weekend, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't feel it. I felt it when Dale Earnhardt Jr. was in the mix, or Dale Earnhardt was in the mix. I have no real personal connection to any of these guys. And so whether one wins or the other wins, it doesn't really matter. Like when the Miami Dolphins will be in the Super Bowl or the New York Yankees will be in the World Series, then it will matter. It's like religion. Something that, hopefully our drivers are building with their fans. Fans got to care. Fans got to care. But in the end, the policing of the sport, like who does what, when, and why, and all of that, the way that the interested fans, media, learn about what happened and why, to have that be vague, that's not a great thing, because we know that people will put out what they want to be true, not what they think happened, but what they want to be true. It's because of this. It's because of that. It's because of this person. It's because their connection to something. And then that's out there. Like I said, a lie goes around the world before the truth puts its pants on in the morning. That's a saying that I heard, and I kind of like it because I think it to be true. It happens all the time outside of racing, not even in racing. And as we have more media outlets and more people commenting about it, people want to know, man. You can get any information instantaneously. Should we be expected to put out or receive that information instantaneously? No, I don't think so. But should a full explanation eventually come out so that people can read and understand and think about it and water cooler talk about it? Yeah, probably. And I don't think that's too much to ask as well. So it has been confirmed that Lonnie Grimm's interview with Tony Pedregon is the first interview of the SEMA show broadcast on Friday, okay? Which people are saying is the second best interview compared to the final one on Tuesday, which was me. That's just a fun self-aggrandizing thing. But speaking of SEMA, I've got a couple of clips. You know, the guy wins Vegas. He goes out there and throws down amazing performances. Mike Salinas. I'm going to try to play it now. 2 minutes, but let's hear from the scrappers, right? They won it in Vegas, and I really feel like are putting themselves into the conversation, not only for this championship, although it is way outside, but as a top threat for 2024. Let's see what they say. This past weekend, Mike, you're in the booth at the NHRA SEMA with the winning car. What about that race this weekend? Pretty great.
Oh, no, it was totally impressive. Domination. It was pretty cool. The car loved this place this weekend. Everything seemed to fall in place. Fast car. They had a great time. Everything fell in place, and the car was just on fire.
You want to finish the season strong, and you're certainly doing it. But you're the first man to 300 in the 8th. And we're all talking 340. Pomona is a spot that maybe it could happen. What do you think? Is this something that's on your radar?
I think Friday night would be the only chance for it. We're going to give it a shot, and hopefully it will work.
That is amazing. Yeah. So what has it been like this season? You won the Gator Nationals. Then you said it. You were experimenting a lot, and you were working on some things, and now you're showing it. Is this, I want to call it a tune-up for next year. You want to finish as high as you possibly can, but at the same time, it looks like you guys are really ready for the future.
Yeah, actually, this whole year has been a test year for us. We were testing, we found some really good things. We wanted to see how far we can bring this car, and I would say we're about 3/4 there. I think it has a lot left in the tank. I think when we do achieve the goal of finding that perfect tune-up that we're looking for, and we're real close. We're about 75% right now, so our car's running like it's running at 75%. I can't wait until we get the other 25. going to be exciting.
And what about Jasmine? What's the latest?
Jasmine is, we're accumulating parts. Blocks are coming, heads are coming. We just ordered all the clutches for both cars. We just ordered all the valves for both cars. And we're accumulating and getting everything ready. Trucks and trailers will be coming out of the paint shop in about 2 months. And we should be really close. Hopefully we can make it happen and, get some funding. And we're chasing corporate America right now because I want them to earn their right to be here. So it'll be cool.
Very exciting, Mike. Congratulations on your win.
Hey, another thing too, Gianna just told me this morning that she would like to get her A fuel license and potentially go into Top Fuel.
Wow,
so
what?
I was blown away by that at practice. She goes, I want to get my A fuel license. And I'm like, cool. And
she was just here. I was going to put the camera on her and put her on the spot.
Yeah, she wants to get her A fuel license for sure. And then I know if she gets her A fuel license, she'll jump in. It'd be cool. It'd be cool to have us all in there.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
There it is, Mike Salinas with the big news at the end of it that I totally forgot all about because I was at SEMA. Gianna Salinas goes Top Fuel Racing. You heard it here right out of the man's mouth, Mike Salinas. Yeah. And I looked around. I was like, where is she, right? Because that would have been good for a camera whip, right? Whip around and put it right on her. Why not? Why not? Well, she's doing very well. I was just looking at, making the semifinals in Pro Stock Motorcycle. I would definitely call her the most improved racer of 2023. I think that's fair. Someone had asked a little bit earlier about Gage being Rookie of the Year. Gage is not eligible. Stan, not eligible for Rookie of the Year. Ran too many races last year. I personally believe that Chase Van Zandt has shown what it takes to be Rookie of the Year. That will all be announced, though, after the fact at our awards ceremony, which is happening Monday, which is super cool. So, guys, put your comments in the comment section. I want to know what you think. Right now is the time to hear from you. It is time from the feedback of WFO Radio and see what you got to say. Look at that. CP Carrillo. Thanks to Dell for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. The SEMA show was amazing. I got hundreds of stories, and that's what Ignition is for. We got together on Ignition on Thursday. I talked about going to the Sphere, the Vegas Sphere, the Formula One, all that stuff you want to know about Vegas. We got it. But let me tell you, while you populate your comments into the comment section, allow me to tell you about Frank Hawley's drag racing school and the Dragster Adventure. One thing that Mike Salinas had mentioned, we spoke in the media center at the conclusion of the race, because that's the thing that I do, is ask those questions at the end of the race. It's like, hey, I noticed Frank Hawley standing on the starting line with you, Mike. What was that all about? And Mike said that Frank is helping him out, and he goes on and wins the race. Are they related? Well, yeah, they're related. Frank Hawley is one of the greatest drivers of all time. The guy's got a school. He's, when it comes to the intellect of the driver, he's written the book, literally. And Mike brings him out and he wins the race. So why would you not want to go on the Dragster Adventure and hang out with Frank or give it as a gift? FrankHawley.com. It's a no-brainer. RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com right above me. Straight up there. 817-924-6821. Marvin Rodak. He's got the Stampede of Speed blend. He's got all kinds of outrageous coffee from all around the world. Special blends to just amaze your mind when it comes to your coffee experience. But really, for me, it's about the ease and convenience of ordering a bunch of coffee and sending it to my best clients and best friends. 817-924-6821. Call Marvin. Get in on those holiday packs, baby. He sends them out. They arrive. There's a whole extra sensory experience. I know it's only early November. Are we thinking about Christmas gifts this early? This year, yes. Last year, I did such a bad job at Christmas. I'm going to try to get ahead of the game and not fail for an entire year. We'll see. RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. And then there's Sam Tech. Brian Massengill. He was out in Vegas. He was at SEMA. Did I see him? No. Too busy. Everybody's just too busy hustling around. Every day I'm hustling. samtech.edu. Here's the deal. In the chat section right now, hopefully everybody's putting their comments about the finals, predictions, thoughts, people who are going to win, people who are going to lose, how it's going to go down. But there's a lot of love for members of the military, both active and veteran. And, that's because we all love our great country. And what makes America strong? What makes America strong is a strong and powerful military, but also our manufacturing base and the knowledge of our people. Can they do stuff, right? Can they do stuff? We need machinists. We have to have these people. It cannot be like this dying art where so few people know how to do it that it takes forever to get anything made. We need more. And Sam Tech is leading the charge on this. Yes, it costs money to learn a lifetime of knowledge. Yes, but if you are thinking about, like, is it service? Really? No, it's not service because you're getting paid. But is it service? It really kind of is, because your country needs it. What we don't need, more podcasters. We got a lot of those, right? Podcasters. Castello's got that covered. Machinists, CNC programmers, people who know how to make chips. And if you're interested, samtech.edu. Tell Brian Massengill you heard about it on WFO Radio. And there you have it. Thanks to our great sponsors like Total Seal. New episode, Hidden Horsepower, Gary Stinnett. Very popular, very popular. FTIperformance.com. Foggit. You just need a can of Foggit like this. I'm starting to use it on my lawn equipment, believe it or not. So it starts up real easy the next time. Why not? Bernie Speed Shop, Josh Hart. Hats off to Josh Hart. Reinhart will get mad because I'm not wearing a hat. But that team has been struggling. This is a good time for the struggle bus reference. And Kid Unleashed took down Leah and Doug on hole shots. Josh Hart, just swinging haymakers. Then he goes out there and Ron Douglas puts together some low 70s and they take out the top couple of points runners. Here's what I know about Josh Hart and his team. First of all, Bernie's is an example of Josh's character. Everything is first class, first rate. They do it right. Go to their website, go to their social, you'll see. But you got to learn how to do this. The countdown, the championship, the cadence, the flow, when to buy parts, when to get parts. We were still, it's 2023, that pandemic and parts availability and getting on the list and getting the right amount and all of these things. That's all part of it. Nobody talks about it. Clutch discs and tires and this and that, all of that. So they're sorting out some new parts and new pieces. And Ron told me a couple of races ago, it's not doing what I'm telling it to do anymore. Got to find a new way. And they're finding a new way. Ron Douglas is a smart guy. They're going to be back. But this is one of those where other forms of motorsport are illuminating to this, right? You're out of it. Test. Every run down the racetrack should be a test to learn something to get ahead in 2024. We'll see how it works. And then there's Phillips Connect, Justin Ashley, Smart Trailer Technology. Justin, got to try to win the race. That's it. Got to try to win the race. They got some round wins in Vegas. And that's a big breakthrough. They had been in a little bit of a mini slump at just the wrong time, but they can still put together a strong points finish. And we'll see where they end up. But a couple of years in, Justin Ashley has gone from driver to star to superstar. Championships are elusive. Who knows what will happen this weekend. But, it would take a lot of help. The good news is Phillips Connect is offering help to everybody out there on the highways and byways with their smart trailer technology, with their Wi-Fi connected or their internet connected sensors that keep your trucks on the road. If you'd like a personalized introduction, email me at joe@wforadio.com. Just having a little fun with it. All right, let's see what everybody's got to say. All right, first of all, I want to get in my quick, the cat that swallowed the canary, right? That's a saying. There's a cliche for everything. You want the wisdom of life, just listen to all the cliches. Robert Hight, I believe there's another way to say it too. Schmidt eating grin. Let's look at my quick interview with Robert Hight. This is 25 seconds at the SEMA show. He looks confident.
There he is.
WFO Joe.
How are you?
How are you, buddy?
Good?
Good.
Nice race this past weekend.
It was real good.
That's a throwdown deal.
Dream weekend.
Yeah.
To have a race car like that. Hope that car is still there. Come on.
Yeah, Jimmy was cool. Jimmy's always cool. The way he reacts,
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah, it is real. All right, good luck.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for everything.
No, likewise.
They got something going on there. Robert Hight. Is he going to be denied 2 years in a row? Who's going to be, and I don't want to see. This is the tough thing about competition. I guess we're doing it better than the gladiators did it. Think about the Roman Empire, right? Like someone texted me the other day, how many times a day do I think about the Roman Empire? And the answer was 2, at least twice, think about the Romans twice a day, at least. And I think about the way we do competition as opposed to the way they did competition. And the gladiators, like, man, I love that guy. He's amazing. Oh, no, too bad. What happened to him? He was great for a while. Remember that guy? He was great, but yeah, went down kind of tough. We don't have to deal with that, fortunately, right? It's competition. It's competition. But at the end of Sunday, two very well-liked racers in each of our nitro categories are going to walk away. You know, are they going to be heartbroken? Are they going to be devastated? They will definitely be experiencing the agony of defeat. There can be only one champion. Who will it be? If it's Steve, then Doug Kalitta will be forced to endure another horrible, experience of coming close. Then again, Doug's living a pretty good life and he loves drag racing and he's out there, and it all depends on personal perspective. So I don't want to put too many words in his mouth. Leah was so clear and emotional and wonderful in that NHRA press conference yesterday. Great Josh Hatchett's stat that I wanted to throw out there. He dug this out. Get this. The points lead in Top Fuel has been flipped 5 times in the last 6 races, from Justin to Steve to Doug to Leah to Steve. That's how competitive it is. So if you're Leah and you come in second or third, it's still a great season. It's been great. Her dad used to make her push the junior dragster back to the pits if she lost. She told that story, and she told it things weren't always puppy dogs and ice cream. And I thought about that, like, wow, what an intense upbringing for a junior dragster kid. If you lose, you're pushing this thing back. And she had to push it back. And she said she couldn't take the belt off, and so it was hard. She had to go against the compression of the engine as she pushed it. That's what has driven her here. If that doesn't make you want to watch, I don't know what would. The idea of 2 cars accelerating to a finish line must not get you going the way it gets me going. And funny car, you got Robert. Robert has had 2 amazing seasons back to back. Last year, he lost. If he loses again this year, is this season a failure? That's a real sports question. It takes a lot of courage to ask those questions. You don't want to put your guests and people that you like in a tough situation. Is this season a failure if you don't win the championship? You go into the final race with a chance to win the championship, you're a 3-time champ. I wonder how people would answer that. Tony Stewart's got a chance to double up as a Nitro owner. Tony Stewart. Wow. All right, let's see some comments. I've stalled long enough for y'all's. Paul says, great show. Thank you very much. In-N-Out Burger for free on Friday. I don't want to make that the headline of all headlines, but bring a veteran. Bring active duty military. Come out and enjoy the drag races. Yes, call in sick. Call in sick. Use a vacation day. Use a personal day. Don't do the normal thing. Break out of your normal routine. Take your active duty military or veteran family member or friend to the track and give them a little free in and out. And yes, you pay for them because of their service. Yeah. Again, I thank you for your support of our veterans and military and love the beautiful country we have. You're a true patriot. My father, United States Marine Corps drill instructor, raised me this way. My grandfather was a waist gunner of a bomber over Germany during World War II. He saw some terrible things, was shot down a few times. How can I not be? How can I not be? Let's see. Good show. Joe, where did you stay in Vegas? I stayed at the Westin. That's where I stayed, at the Westin, right in the middle of the track. It was great. Are you updated on F1? I don't want to give away the Ferrari drama. I watched the race. Yeah, I saw Leclerc out on the warm-up lap, and that was annoying. And is there new drama? because I'm kind of checked out on Ferrari a little bit, checked out on Formula One, although very interested in the Vegas race, very interested. And I'm very excited that we're ending our season this weekend. And we'll see it all next weekend. Any updates on new photos on Project Pontiac? Project Pontiac is here. Gary Stinnett working on the engine. Chris Straub Technologies doing the machine work along with the folks at Rottler, compiling parts and pieces. And Gary put it best when he said, like, doing a project like this, there's a lot of nothing and then everything happens at once. And I'm really hoping everything happens at once during the winter break because I need winter break content. But if you are interested in Project Pontiac, we are going to be pushing that out a lot more as the season ends. I can tell you that the amount of people that have wanted to be involved with my, like, trying to race, right? The guy talks, but can he drive? Who knows? Once upon a time, I did pretty well as a bracket racer, and I always aspired to race super street, the 1090 index. Like, some people want to go comp eliminator racing, and some people want to go pro stock racing, and some people want to go top fuel racing. This guy, I wanted to go super street racing. Why? Well, it's attainable. My family car, which is like literally part of our family, like this thing is part of our family, fits into the category pretty well at 3,300 pounds, right? And the idea that I could be pro tree racing against cars that are similar was always exciting. But back in the day when I bracket raced, we just didn't have what it took. First and foremost, they were using a 4/10 pro tree then. And considerable effort had to be put into getting the car to react to a 4/10 pro tree. Yeah, a 3,300 pound car going to react to a 4/10 pro tree. Not happening with us. Guys were using these little tiny front wheels and stuff, doing a bunch of stupid stuff. It was dumb. Fortunately, they switched it to a 5/10 pro tree to accommodate the heavy cars. Didn't Steve Glenn just win Super Street out there, the Vegas, in like a 56 wagon, big old heavy sled, right? 4/10 pro tree wouldn't allow that. There's got to be a place for heavy cars. Well, finally, they got the message. 5/10 pro tree is better for Super Street. And that's what opened it up. Like, oh man, okay, the family car can maybe do it. And we've been on this journey with Project Pontiac. We'll rebuild the engine. Oh no, the block is all cracked. Why did it crack? Well, we had no motor plate or mid plate. We need to do that. We've done it. Thank you, Rick McDonough. And now we're going to continue on. But yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned. All right. Top Fuel. This is what I want. Jim Hughes. Good job, Jim. Doug Kalitta wins Top Fuel. No disrespect to anybody else. I feel like I've got good, solid friendships with all three of them. But if Doug is parading, that's a historic moment. That's like, make the Doug Kalitta movie. Alan Johnson and Doug Kalitta. And like, I want to be there for those two and see what happens when in that moment. Like, wow. Funny car. Bob Tasca. If Bob Tasca were to win, make the Bob Tasca movie. This time a year ago, he said it. He had 2 employees. Everybody left him. They all left him. And that was a story that was happening behind the scenes. And, Bob said it himself. It doesn't need any hype. No, it needs hype, Bob. It needs hype. Nobody knows your story. The people in NASCAR don't know the story. The people in IndyCar don't know the story. The Formula One people, the NFL people, the MLB people. Nobody knows the story of Bob Tasca. We think we know, but we don't know. They don't know that your entire team left for another opportunity and they had to make a difficult decision and they made it. And some left and some didn't leave and some stayed. And then you were left for dead. Bob Tasca, that's it. They're not going to be able to get anybody. Of course, I knew it the whole time. But that's the real story. And he goes around and he finds Aaron Brooks, someone who, a lot of people felt was underrated. And Todd Okahara, 2 guys that had a reputation, I don't know what their reputation was. But he puts them together and they form This amazing combination that has put up the results that you've seen so far this season. Like, whatever those results are, do you think they're good? I'm sure someone could argue with me. You remember that what about? I was telling you, well, what about? They're in contention for the championship, Bob Tasca and his guys. That's an incredible story. And then there's Hagan, Dickie Venables, and Stretch and Alex and all those guys over there who someone pulled me aside at Gainesville and said, those are the guys to watch this year. Those are the guys because they brought everybody back. And they're like all for one and one for all. They got everybody back. Nothing has changed. And they're ready to win this year. And here we are. And, you know, this could be a very different thing if not for a 10,000th of a second. Pro Stock Erica obviously engaged. Goes without saying. Doug and Hagan, says Scott. Okay. It has been teased that Getrix had an announcement coming. And he up the Jim. What are you ruining people's announcements? I am here to tell you that the Getrix announcement is definitely not happening today. You know, can't you just be patient? Let things play out. Just let it play out. Who knows what's happening? You don't even know what this is. What had an announcement coming. Yeah, who knows? Who knows what they're doing over there, Getrix? But you should all stay tuned because maybe it will be cool. The issue with manufacturing is since 1980s, college has been promoted or you will be a loser. College loans, big part of this, says Stan. Yes, Stan. How old are you, Stan? Why did you let that happen, Stan? You know, I got a whole angle on that. You know, my dad pulled concrete around, right? I very, very strong opinions about the people who are the doers and builders and makers and work with their hands as opposed to being in a cubicle like in the movie Office Space. And for a long time, being the person, you know, white collar versus blue collar and all that stuff, Stan, I was 10 years old, Stan. You know, what could I do about it? I'm doing what I could do now. I'm not saying it's your fault, Stan. Matt Clark is in Australia. He just says, good morning. E.E., Gage Herrera, Robert Hight, and I don't know what the BF is. It's confusing. Torrence. See, Scott goes with Torrence. I think that's if we're making odds, Torrence is the safest of the picks. The safest pick. He's got the lead, which is irrelevant based on, points and a half. But them Capco boys versus Alan Johnson. Like the more you think about it, the more time you spend. Didn't Alan Johnson work for Steve? Oh, yeah. Yeah, he did. Alan and Steve. Oh, there's a little history there. Huh. Now they're competing for a championship. And nobody hates each other. It's not like that. They use their parts. But there's still history. Funny Car Hagan, Pro Stock Hartford. Obviously, he's talking race win, not a championship. Matt's considerably out of the lead. The race win would secure him. Hartford's already had his best career season, period. So it all depends on how you want to look at it. A lot of people believe in that keep the edge till the very end. The second you yield, you're going to lose your edge. So hopefully those guys can keep their edge, but they've already had a breakout year. Broke out from pro stock racer that wins one race a year to threat to win any race and championships. And he's going to go out and live with Gage Herrera. Gage, somebody said that Gage is sweeping the countdown, by the way. That is not true. Someone told me that specifically. Yeah, Gage is going to sweep the countdown. No, he's not. Matt Smith won the first race in Reading, which leaves Steve Torrance's sweep of the countdown. But goes to show you, though, Gage had an opportunity at some incredible history, but he didn't know it at the time. Right? That first race is the one that slipped away. Erica, Gage, Matt Hartford, and Steve Torrence. All right, Blake. Good deal. NHRA is at the peck of their best year ever as far as competition goes. Stephen Hawk. This is a bad typo. I get it. He's at the peck, man. The peak. No, I agree. NHRA drag racing is experiencing a pop. Mission Foods coming in, Camping World staying in, all kinds of big announcements coming, none of which have been named here. And you got a lot of people that want to be what about, which is an endless game. We could what about all day long. If I want to what about to you, I could do it pretty well. That's what the winter break is for, guys. Well, what about then? NHRA has been kicked in the nuts as far as the weather goes this year. Has it? Because by my calculation, we only lost one day, which was race day in Epping. That is the only day we lost. Yeah, there's been some weather, but I don't know, man. I feel like the weather has been pretty good, generally speaking, as someone who is, at the race and trying to get the heck out of there if it rains. Will Darlington survive JJ's shenanigans? Okay, Scott. Like, out of my realm, man. No prep stuff, but I did read the report. I don't know exactly what was going on, but they lost their sanction. And that stinks. And that's where we can tie it all together, right? Reinhart said it about cheating. Like, it's really easy to sit at home and accuse people of cheating here and cheating there, and everybody's cheating and all this different cheating and all kinds of stuff is happening. And it's personal and it's, yeah. But when things actually get found out, what kind of damage would be done by that? And is it worth it? And the answer is no, it's not worth it. You cheat one time and you get caught. For the rest of your life, people are going to assume you're a cheater, whether it's right or it's wrong. That's, even if they don't assume it, they're going to say it. Like the Houston Astros, for instance. Doesn't matter what happens with the Houston Astros from now till the end of time, whether they believe it or they don't believe it, people are going to say they're cheating and they're cheaters. And I know Houston Astros fans don't really care about that because there's no control. They can't do anything about it. It's already done. But if they could go back and tell themselves some advice, I believe that the Astros fans would tell themselves to not cheat. Don't do that to us, because you can't erase that. Now, if you don't get caught, then no harm, no foul, because nobody knows what happened or what's true. And that's the risk. Now, I have no idea what the details were about Darlington, but they lost their sanction from the World Drag Racing Alliance or whatever. It's just unfortunate. Yeah. Peak. There you go. Let's see what Essex has to say. To help celebrate Veterans Day at In-N-Out Pomona Drag Strip, In-N-Out Burger will offer all veterans. Is that so? Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Veterans Day. This is happening on Veterans Day. I saw a story that said Friday. You're now telling me on Saturday. The bottom line is Veterans Day. It's happening on Veterans Day. So there you go. What is your voice secret this year? You haven't lost your voice once. Working on television? Jason Galvin? That's the answer. The addition of there's a bunch of reasons. But what I don't think most people understand is that it's a very challenging job to talk all day long for 5 straight days. Because, the conversations continue in the pits, the gathering of the news and the talking about what's what. People think, yeah, it's easy, but it's not. But the addition of Jason Galvin has taken a lot of load off. Remember the pandemic year, we were all kind of there. And then the year after, it was just me and Alan. 2021, it was just me and Alan. And, some other voices came in. But then we bring in Galvin. And Galvin can carry a load, man. Guy can talk. Sometimes too much, Galvin. My paternal grandfather was in the gas trenches in World War I. Yeah, bad deal, man. Bad deal. Well, what side? For who? Stan. Super Show, as always, exciting finish coming up. Have an NHRA party. Invite your friends over. Gather around the TV. Fill out your Drag Race Bracket Bonanza brackets for the final time this year. And watch as your bracket gets busted. Don't you need grading points to race at national events? Yes, I do, Stan, which means I'm going to have to get my stuff done in time to try to get some grading points. FYI, In-N-Out Burger is Saturday, and that's Friday. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, no, I maybe misread that, which tends to happen from time to time. Would love to see Dougie finally take the championship. Deserves it more than anyone. Yeah, that word deserves, right? Torrance has sullied the word deserves. You can't deserve anything. You just earn it. Nobody deserves anything. Either you've earned it or you've not earned it. Whether you deserve it doesn't matter. And this is Torrance, right? The really harsh reality of the winner. When you win, then you've earned it. Until then, you deserve nothing. You get what you got. You get a number 2. You get what the number 2 guy gets. The bonus. It's great. You get the accolades of your fans, the pat on the back from the family and friends. But you've got to earn it. This is Steve's reality. And, you know, something to be said about that in competition. Like, go talk to the people that lose the Super Bowl. You guys deserved it. Yes. Harsh. Drag racer life. Harsh. Did you qualify? No, I didn't qualify. Go home. Did you get there first? No. Load up. Deserves. Like, that word deserves. People hate that word right now. And I can see it. It's harsh. It's harsh. But at least we're not the Spartans, right? We don't, you know, we're not the Spartans. BF is Brittany Force. Brittany Force is not winning the championship. She could definitely win the race and needs to win the race, by the way. How about that? There's a story. Like, is Brittany going to go an entire season without winning a race after winning the championship? In a much harsher media environment, that would be a very hot topic. You know, but in drag racing, we don't do that. Happy birthday to Amanda Busick. Absolutely. Happy birthday, Amanda. I hope the weather is nice this weekend at Pomona. Yeah, I do too. Q&A on YouTube. Yeah, you put her on the stopwatch, Jim. I don't know. It says his wife never stops talking. Her voice never goes away. You do it. Here in Indianapolis, we are having Pomona Prom Watch Party Sunday. There you go. You got to do it. Everybody get together and see who's going to get the bonus money. USA, and then when he got home, he was a foreman that helped build the freeway system. That's wonderful, Stan. Get a mouse pad, Joe. Well, I got a mouse pad. I got my nice Haas machinery mouse pad. What are you talking about? Get a mouse pad. I have a pad with notes, and I have a mouse. Look at this. Yeah, how many of you guys have this? This was sent to me by great friends at Haas for doing the Haas F1 report when they first started up. Get a mouse pad. What is this? And that's when I know it's time to bust on out of here and go pack and get ready for the In-N-Out Burger Finals, the final race of the 2023 NHRA Camping World Series season and the final race of the NHRA Camping World Drag Racing Series, because next year it'll be Mission Foods. Jody says, what's up? Bring your jacket. I always bring a jacket. Don't worry. I don't forget to take a towel. You know it. Thanks to Del Worsham for coming on the show. Appreciate that. Thanks to Alan Reinhart for coming on the show and all these great, wonderful sponsors who make it possible, and everybody who has been part of WFO. I could have done a better job of pushing out all my social media stuff from SEMA. But what I thought was, because the internet access there was terrible, what I thought was people want to see those things during the winter break, where we'll suddenly have a couple of months with which to play around. So that's my plan. But super excited about this event. And again, you know, how many people are in the California area who are not already going to the race and are persuadable right now? I don't know. But if that's you, go to the track. Go to the track this weekend. Be a part of this historic finals of the Camping World era. Be a part of the 3-way championship funny car race, of the 3, but mathematically 5-way Top Fuel race. You know, I don't want to count those guys out, man, because crazy stuff happens. And next thing you know, Justin Ashley will be on here and be like, you counted me out. No. I acknowledge that weird stuff happens. It's just unlikely, mathematically speaking. But he and Mike, they could wreck some shop. Who knows? All right, guys, it's an honor to do a show like this with all of you. Thank you so much. The best thing you can do for me is share the show, tell your friends. We'll see you at the track on Friday. WFO.